Every person you meet carries two conversations, the one they speak aloud and the one they never intended for you to hear. Words are surface level, rehearsed, filtered, controlled. But beneath every sentence, every smile, every pause, there is a quieter truth running under their awareness. A truth expressed in micro movements, fragmented emotions, subtle shifts in energy that reveal far more than any spoken explanation ever could. Most people move through life without noticing these signals, without hearing the silent communication unfolding right in front of them. But the moment you choose to pay attention, everything begins to change. You start seeing through the surface, hearing what is never said, and understanding what people try so carefully to hide. You do not need minutes to read someone. You do not need them to speak. The human brain reveals more in the first 5 seconds than in an entire conversation. Before a person chooses their words, their subconscious runs ahead of them and broadcasts signals through posture, micro movements, and tiny shifts in facial tension. These signals come from the limbic system, the emotional center of the brain. It reacts instantly and without permission, before logic can interfere. This is limbic leakage, the unfiltered emotional truth slipping out before the mind can create the mask. The shoulders reveal comfort or defensiveness. The eyes reveal interest or escape. The mouth reveals tension or calm. The hands reveal confidence or uncertainty. When you learn to watch these cues, you can decode someone long before they decide what story they want to tell. Every person carries an emotional signature, a behavioral pattern that stays consistent across situations. Some people move with slow, measured gestures that show control and a desire for stability. Others move quickly with restless hands, fast blinks, and shifting attention, revealing hidden tension and the effort to maintain composure. You are not looking for one signal. You are watching the pattern. A nervous laugh, a shifting shoulder, a tightening jaw, a softening voice. Each cue tells a small story, and together they form the emotional fingerprint of the person standing in front of you. The most powerful way to understand someone instantly is to notice the contradictions. This is the moment when the body tells one truth and the mouth offers another. A person says they are happy, but the smile never reaches the eyes. They say they are fine, but the breath becomes shallow. They say they are confident, but the feet angle away as if preparing to leave. These moments are not random. They are emotional dissonance, the conflict between intention and truth. Once you learn to recognize it, you cannot unsee it. The unspoken layer is the doorway, and once you step through it, people begin to reveal themselves in ways they never realized. If the first layer taught you to notice what people reveal before they even speak, this layer takes you deeper into the mind itself, into the filters that shape how a person sees the world without ever realizing it. Every person you meet carries these filters. They aren't conscious, and they aren't intentional. They're mental lenses, formed by fear, by desire, by identity, that quietly shape every reaction, every opinion, every expression. And when you learn to see these filters, you stop reading what someone shows and start reading the mind behind the behavior. The first filter people reveal is their motivation. A person moves through life in one of two directions. They are either moving away from something or moving towards something, avoidance or pursuit. When someone is avoidance-driven, their decisions bend toward safety. Their words sound like small shields. Their body language folds inward. Even when they smile, there's a faint tension behind the expression, as if they're protecting a part of themselves they don't want you to touch. Pursuit-driven people move with a different energy. Their attention stretches outward. Their voice reaches forward. Their eyes track possibility. They aren't trying to escape pain. They're chasing reward. When you listen to someone, Ask yourself quietly whether they're trying not to fall behind or trying to get ahead. The answer tells you far more than their words ever will. Once you feel their true motivation, you can predict their choices before they make them. The second filter reveals what a person values most. You can hear it in the smallest details of how they speak. Some people value control. They choose specific language, correct insignificant mistakes, and maintain tight boundaries around their tone. Others value connection. They mirror your voice without knowing it. Their attention softens. Their expressions track yours with unconscious precision. Then there are those who seek validation. They highlight achievements, position themselves as admirable, or subtly angle the conversation to reinforce their worth. And finally, some people value peace. Their voice stays gentle, their phrasing stays neutral, and their desire to avoid conflict is stronger than their desire to express the full truth. Once you sense someone's primary priority, their entire pattern becomes clear. You're no longer trying to decode scattered signals. You're seeing the architecture beneath their personality. The third filter is the pace of truth. Every person reveals themselves at a pace that reflects their history. Fast revealers share details quickly. They open their inner world before they understand you, often out of loneliness, impulsiveness, or a deep hunger to be seen. Slow revealers hold their truths with care. Their pauses are longer. Their answers are measured. They reveal only what they feel is safe, shaped by caution or old betrayals. But the real insight comes from the change in pace. If someone opens quickly and suddenly slows, something inside them retreated. If someone is guarded and then becomes unusually warm, something inside them is compensating. These shifts are emotional tremors. They reveal stress, insecurity, and hidden intentions more reliably than any spoken confession. When you combine motivation, priority, and reveal pace, you begin to see people with clarity most never reach. The mind becomes transparent not because it wants to be, but because it cannot hide its patterns. You've learned to read the unspoken layer. You've learned to decode the psychological filters. Now we move into the deepest tier, the final and most revealing dimension, the intentions people try to hide. This is the part of human psychology most people sense, but rarely understand. Intentions leak through behavior in small, involuntary flashes. Even when someone constructs a flawless mask, a calm face, a steady voice, a perfectly rehearsed explanation, the subconscious betrays them. No matter how strong the mask appears, the truth slips through. When you know where to look, you can see a person's real intent with startling clarity. Most hidden intentions stem from one of three root drives. Some people act from a place of protection. They avoid emotional exposure, soften their voice, stretch out their explanations, or add details that don't need to be there. Anything to keep distance between themselves and vulnerability. Others act from a place of control. They try to guide the tone of the room, speak with absolute certainty, and use confidence like armor. Their presence carries a subtle pressure, a desire to hold the dominant position. And then there are those acting from gain. They watch more than they reveal. They ask selective questions. They shift their personality depending on what they want. Their attention moves in calculated patterns, always scanning, always evaluating. To read someone instantly, quietly ask yourself one question. What would this person lose if they told the full truth? Their behavior answers before they ever do. The ego exposes itself whenever a person feels even slightly threatened. You can hear it in the way someone repeats a tiny correction. You can see it in the subtle lift of the chin, the tightening at the corners of the mouth, the shift in posture meant to reclaim confidence. You can sense it when someone keeps checking for validation, asking if you understand, pushing the conversation to confirm their perspective. These moments form what psychologists call the ego line, a soft trail of reactions that reveal where a person feels insecure. The more fragile the ego, the more energy the person spends protecting it. And insecurity is the clearest doorway into someone's true emotional state. Every hidden emotion creates tension in the body. fear, envy, desire, guilt, attraction. They all leave fingerprints. You'll see it in the eyes, in the sudden freeze of eye movement when a sensitive topic appears. You'll hear it in the breath, the shallow inhale, the delayed exhale, the quick release that signals relief. You'll notice it in the hands, because hands never lie. They fidget, tighten, rub, tap, even when the face remains perfectly controlled. The final truth is simple. Anyone can hide a moment. No one can hide a pattern. Reading people isn't about analyzing one gesture or one reaction. It's about noticing how the pieces repeat. A warm voice paired with a closed posture. A bright smile paired with a flat tone. A confident story that shifts each time it's told. When you watch the patterns, people become transparent, not because they choose to be, but because the human mind cannot hide itself for long.